Hey, amazing parents. What comes up in your mind when you hear coaches like myself tell you that there is a letting go that needs to start happening when you start parenting teenagers? I think a lot of parents just think, oh my God, Fina, what are you trying to tell us? Are you telling us we're just going to allow our teenagers to do whatever they like and just not care about it, what they think? No, that's not it. No, that's not it. I keep talking about a shift that needs to happen when we parent our teenagers. Our teenagers are no longer the younger children they were. And even science tells us that the teenage brain, as soon as when children become teenagers, their teenage brains are doing something else compared to what they were doing when they were younger. In the teenage years, the brain, what they're seeking for now is independence. Okay. Their brains are going towards independence. So anything you're doing that disrupts that independence or that goes against that independence, there will be conflicts. There will be misunderstandings. There will be assumptions that you don't understand them, that you don't get them, that you don't love them. Some of them even say you don't love them just because you don't understand what they are going through. So parenting teenagers in today's world requires all of us as parents to actually understand what is going on in the teenagers' minds. And what is definitely going on is that looking forward to independence. So they're gearing towards independence. They're gearing towards that autonomy where they can do things by themselves. And as parents, we've been so used to holding them since they were young, since they were babies. But this is the time to start letting go. And I'm going to explain what the letting go means so that you don't be scared that it's Fina telling us, let go, just let them do whatever they want to do. And the answer is no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there are some shifts that we need to make. And I've shared that across in a few videos that I've shared. But today's video, I want to actually share some practicals on it, some examples of, and especially in words, because a lot of times our teenagers think that we think they're kids because of the kind of way that we're talking to them. And in our communication to our children, our teenagers especially, there has to be that shift. They have to see that they need to see the shift. You see, the more they see the shift in the way that we speak to them, then the more that they believe that they're actually getting older and that they have now responsibilities to really take on. The shift in our communication really, really matters. I'm going to share with you a few transformations that we can start really implementing to show to our teenagers that they are now teenagers and that we are letting go bit by bit. Example, you're going to now start to move from, we call it from telling to asking. And I'm going to give you some examples. So with telling, you're saying, go and do your homework right now. As you're telling them. A lot of times that's what we did when they were younger. But as a teenager, you're then asking the teenager, what are your plans regarding finishing your homework today? Do you see the difference? Go and do your homework now. That is going against that independence that our teenagers are seeking for. But when you say, what are your plans for finishing your homework tonight? You are asking them because they are in charge. They are responsible for their homework. We are not responsible for their homework. They are responsible for their homework. So what are they going to do about it? And when you ask a teenager that question, the part of the brain that the teenager starts to make use of is their logical side of the brain. So the prefrontal cortex, that's where they start to use. Oh, okay, actually it's true. My homework is due tomorrow or my homework is due on Monday. So what are my plans about it today? They start to think. When you ask them, instead of telling them, you give them the opportunity to tap into their adult brain. But if you only just tell them what to do, then you are really dealing with that middle part of their brain that is very emotional and then can be very eruptive or they can react to it. Do you see the difference? So you want, as a parent of a teenager, to start making them tap into their adult brain. So that's why constructive questions are better for them because it then gets them the opportunity to practice using their adult brain. I tell this again to parents that a lot of times science tells us that the prefrontal cortex part of the brain doesn't finish fully developing till 25. And that is a fact. But you know what? We don't have to wait till they're 25 to get them to start using it. You see what I mean? The faster we start to talk to them, listen to them, speak to them very constructively, the faster they start to activate that part of their brain. So so that they don't have to wait till 25 for it to be completely developed. Or even if they're still waiting till 25, in the meantime, they're already using it. They're already using it for the work. They're already using it for their maturity, for their responsibility. They're already using it. So we've got to move from telling to asking. That's one way to get our teenagers to start using their adult brain. And in so using their adult brain, they can think more logically. They can understand where you're coming from because you're using your adult brain to talk to them. You can see two people talking with both adult brains rather than the adult brain and the teenage brain talking to each other. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Okay. The second movement is from monitoring to actually mentoring. And here I'm going to give you an example. In monitoring, you're saying, did you tidy your room? Did you tidy your room? That's what you're saying. You're either asking, did you tidy your room, or did you tidy your room yet? Because you've either gone to their room. I remember watching I remember watching a parent who just barged into the teenager's room. Oh, why have you not tidied your room? How are you going to what are you going to expect the teenager? How are you going to expect the teenager to react to that? So you're moving from monitoring, did you tidy your room yet, to saying, what systems have you put in place? When are you going to actually get this room tidy? I did that with my daughter. So I would see her room in such a big mess. And I would say, okay. Huh. I see that we haven't done this yet. When are you thinking of doing it? Or I would kind of say that I've just tidied my room. I say, oh, wow, my room looks so tidy now. Oh, now I can just relax in my room because I've just tidied it. And you know what? It took me about 15, 20 minutes. And to be honest, I was listening to this thing or this music when I just got on into it. So I've almost, in that way, I've given her a system of how I've tidied my room. She may not do it there and then, but at least she's got that system. She's got that. It will help her because of the way I've explained what I did in my room. It will help her deal with the overwhelm that she might think of before she tidies her room. And before you know it, she will come to me and say, oh, guess what? I tidied my room yesterday. And it would just be a laughing conversation. I remember some time ago where she was going out and she said, Mom, please don't go into my room. I haven't tidied it yet. I said, Tamara, I'm protecting my own mental health. So I'm not going to go into your room. And we just started laughing. But you see the humor in it. It's like, don't have clashes with your teenagers just because of their bedroom. Don't have clashes. Joke about it. Give your own examples and just make it very lighthearted. They're going to follow through. Honestly, they will want to tidy their rooms. I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen. I'm not going to cause a conflict with my teenager just because their rooms are untidy. I remember asking a parent one day, and I said, do you have to walk through your teenager's room to get to the living room? She said, no. I said, okay, let's not fight about it. And when I say let's not fight about it, I'm not saying don't address it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't address it. What I'm saying is don't let it be the cause of conflict between you and your teenager. Because if it becomes the cause of conflict, it becomes the cause of disconnect. And when it becomes the cause of disconnect, your value, your words, your experiences, they won't tap into it. They would rather go and listen to outsiders. And I always say this, that a lot of times these outsiders that they're going to listen to may not even share your values. So are you going to do because of an untidy room and miss out your values to your children? Their priorities. Yeah, address it, but address it in a very constructive way so that you are tapping into their prefrontal cortex. That's what you want to do. Don't quarrel about their rooms. Say it, address it, use yourself as an example, and just move on. That's where you move from monitoring to actually mentoring. And another one that I want to share is moving from commanding to actually coaching. And it's very similar to the asking and telling example. Here you can say things like, in commanding, you must stop talking to me like that because they've come back to you or they're arguing with you. You must stop talking back to me. But coaching is, let's talk about what's really going on here. What happened? I want to hear your side. And I'll give you an example of this because this is where we're talking about, for example, in a heated moment. So your teenager has come back to you on something you've said. And you can see yourself getting upset. Yeah, you can see yourself getting upset because who is the teenager to shout at you back, to shout at you or to talk back at you? I can see that. I can see that you're getting frustrated. But in the heat of the moment, that commanding is not going to work. They're not even going to get it because everything is heated in that moment. So what you can do is say, you can put a boundary to yourself to say, you know what? I won't tolerate that tone. I won't tolerate that tone. Let's talk about this later when we've all calmed down. You've given yourself that pause. You've given yourself that break. You've also given them the pause for themselves as well so that they can reflect. A lot of times our teenagers don't have the time to reflect. And because they don't have the time to reflect, there's no time to transform. So when you, because you've given yourself that boundary, I won't tolerate that tone. So we're going to leave this matter for now and we're going to come and talk about it later. Use your firm voice. You don't have to shout. You don't have to scream. You don't have to react. Just talk. You're the adults. You're the leader. Speak like the leader. Create, confirm your boundary. I'm not going to take that. And we move on. Just like that. And then later on, you can come and talk about it. And then that's when you're saying, okay, talk me through what happened. I want to hear your side. What happened? What caused that? What were you thinking? What caused that reaction? What were your thoughts? You want to ask them those things so that they can reflect back to see, okay, what were the thoughts that led to the reaction? A lot of times we're screaming at them, why did you talk to me like that? Who are you to talk to me like that? And they're not getting the answers. They've got to have the time to reflect. And I'm going to be sharing more about why we need to help our teenagers so that they learn how to reflect. Because if they don't know how to reflect, this is the reason they get into so much issues and problems in school. Because when a friend tells them to do something, they're not having the time to pause and reflect and to ask themselves, is this choice worth it? But that time to pause and reflect is something they have to master at home. That's when they can do it in school and outside of school. So those are the shifts that I'm going to share for now. We'll come back to some more part 2 later. But I thought to share these shifts with you. And the more that you practice these shifts, at first they're going to sound a bit foreign to you, and I understand that. But the more that you practice these shifts, guess what happens? The more your children, your teenagers start to activate their adult brain. The more they start to talk back to you like an adult. The transformation is a game changer. So try these 3 shifts that I've spoken about today. And in my next video, I'm going to share some more shifts with you. And if there are any topics, parenting teens topics that you want me to address, please write that down in the comment box below. And I will definitely be sure, myself and my team will definitely be sure to pick those topics up. And I can share that with you here on the Fina Chi Chi channel. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out any of the videos, the weekly videos that I am sharing. So let's go. You take care. And remember, I am rooting for you all the way. Don't forget that. All right. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.